we know her as the CEO of Jeff Ruby Culinary Entertainment, but there's a lot about Britney Ruby Miller that you might not know. We're going to learn a lot of it in her brand new book. It's called 5-Star Life, forward by Kathy Lee Gifford, by the way. Britney, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk, as we say, let's start at the beginning. Where did the idea come to write a book, not just about the restaurant industry and probably the worst year ever in the restaurant industry, but also about your personal life as well?
Well, one of my greatest mentors, Ford Taylor, part of his training for his book and for transformational leadership stems from his personal testimony and the adversity that he's faced. And to be honest, at first I thought it was like, man, this is pretty wild. This CEO, former CEO, he's got his own, he's a consultant now, is putting his personal life out there. Like, well, that's weird. Well, then I see the countless lives that were transformed through our organization, through my personal family, through my life. And, you know, when you get to a point, and everybody has a story, life is messy. Everybody has a perfect life. Through a lot of hard work, through therapy, through faith, I'm in a place now where I'm happy to share in the hopes of it, maybe, you know, my testimony helping out others, especially at a time, as you know, when you've got chaos just all around you. I think that we need some light and we need some hope right now.
When you started to put all this down on paper, did you talk to Caleb? Did you talk to your family about, is this okay that I share some of this information? Was it all right with the rest of the family?
So Caleb and I have wanted to do this for a long time. He actually pushed me more, but he never, you know, he always was very forgiving and had grace that really it was my story to tell. And so, but yeah, no, Caleb is awesome and has helped a lot of marriages as well. My brothers and my father, I did bring it to them in a meeting and said, look, this is, you know, VIGs and peers and colleagues and my banker, you know, they're all going to know how what it was like to grow up as Jeff Ruby's daughter and their sister. So it definitely affects the brand. And 100% they were on board because they too have a heart for people. And they too realize nobody has a perfect life. And in our industry specifically, it's a very dark industry. And part of our core values and our beliefs are transforming lives. And that's not just our guests and communities, but that's our employees as well. And so, yeah, they have been incredibly supportive of me sharing my testimony.
So let's talk a little bit about the brand. We, of course, know Jeff Ruby. We feel as if that we've known the family ever since you've been growing up. Did you always think that you would get into the restaurant business and follow in your father's footsteps?
I did not. I always loved the business. I fell in love with the operations. I was in operations from hostess up into manager for, 20 years. And, but I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be a restaurant operator. I was a terrible sports broadcasting intern, as you recall.
You weren't. It was a
oh God. And so I'm like, well, this isn't, you know, but what I loved about that, as horrible as I was, the training for TV and the training. And so then I thought, you know, and I had some cool opportunities with Food Network that seemed more promising. And so, and really I talk about that in the book, but you know, I had to make some decisions where I want to put the majority of my time. Well, by then I was head over heels in love with our company and given some really unique, great opportunities to grow the business and had some very incredible mentors. And so, you know, I did, once I started really getting plugged into the restaurants and then making that kind of life decision, it was like all in.
2020, let's revisit it one more time. One of the most trying, if not the most trying year for restaurant owners. You became a leader. You really stepped up in the state of Ohio to fight for the restaurant industry. When did you look around and say, somebody's got to take control, and it might as well be me.
Mm. I got a call from John Barker, the president and CEO of the Ohio Restaurant Association. And he really, one of the greatest leaders I've ever met in my entire life, urged all of his members, but specifically those that had connections with media. And, you know, I've got this PR firm that's pretty good.
I've heard that.
I think I can make a call. So I called Jackie, and honestly, I'm like, I tell everybody, this is a huge piece of what I learned through game day was, man, as a business leader, you have to step up and control the narrative. And I couldn't wait for other business leaders to do what I know I needed to do. And I couldn't wait for the media to pick up the phone and call me, because influencing the media to buy into our industry was huge. I mean, we needed people to understand how critical this industry is. It's an $834 billion industry. And we supply, you know, 51% of food supply chain. I was honestly like, I know Kroger was overwhelmed. Their former CFO's on my board. And he's like, they're doing everything they can do, but like restaurants are critical right now. And so, and all of our, you know, people out of work, 10% of the US workforce, really 20%. So those numbers to me, it was like X plus Y equals Z. It's like, okay, someone needs to get out there and get this message going, because we need a stimulus, you know, plan. When the CARES Act, I mean, we didn't know if it was even coming. We had no idea if PPP was ever coming. And then when I learned about how great the PPP was for businesses that were open, but for restaurants that were closed with this 8-week forgiveness, we needed that to be extended. And so the National Restaurant Association was pushing for that to be 24 weeks. And I formally got on board at that point and became a restaurant lobbyist, which I politics and never want to be involved in politics. But here I am, you know, getting Cliff's Notes crash course on every senator and congressperson I can that has influence. And I think the greatest thing was realizing, you know, my dad has always been involved. He's been a political supporter his entire life. And I didn't realize how important that is, because when you need to pick up the phone, whether you're on the left or right, you got to get stuff done. You better have those relationships. And we did. And so those, you know, but I mean, Jackie really, and everybody on your team, it was like, boom, 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 Fox, CNN, US, you know, news, and Today Show. It was a whirlwind every single day for months, you know, trying to do whatever I can do to do my part to bring awareness to the restaurant industry.
So has 2020, in your opinion, changed the restaurant industry? And has it changed it for the better?
It's forever changed. We are absolutely forever changed. What I think you want to talk about what's political is when people, you know, you talk about the labor crisis and it's, you know, we're just paying people to be at home. Look, I think it's both. Okay. I think that people decided to get out of our industry. I understand. It's when you can see that the government can literally shut you down, and we were targets. I understand if they didn't feel the security to be in this industry. Luckily, here we are now, and I don't foresee another shutdown. I know for sure in Ohio, I don't, at least from what I'm catching, you know, through being on the task force, is DeWine and Houston aren't doing that again. But I understand why. And so how has it changed? You know, it's, I think we got really nimble, we got really scrappy, and we mapped out all kinds of ideas. And that is one of the greatest things I think that came out, is our team learned. You know, I remember telling our corporate team, I'm like, at some point, if I'm doing the landscaping, I don't care. We just all like, we all have to do different things. We've got to get used to just whatever it takes. Right. And so it was really some of our greatest moments, I think, collaborating and camaraderie with one another. At the restaurant level, I think there's always going to be a sense that people don't want to be right up on top of each other. And so I think social distancing is here to stay. I hope there's things that stay. We should have sanitizer at the front door. You know, one of my pet peeves is you go to a restaurant and it's like, wait, what happened to the sanitizer? Like, we're still in this thing, right? We're going to be in it for a long time. And it is the new norm, as people don't want to think that it is. And so restaurants are already held to such a high standard. It's on another level now. It's exponential, and it should be. It should be. We should be running clean and safe kitchens and restaurants.
So when people read your book, what do you want them to take away from it?
I would love for people to, you know, and I'm I'm a Christian, but I wrote the book I didn't go to seminary. I chose, my degree is in world religions. I love the value and the beauty of all religions. I truly do. And so my hope is that there's an open mind. It is definitely written from a Christian perspective because that's my faith. But I hope that no matter what your religious beliefs are or what you've gone through in life, that somebody can probably look at me and think that, man, her life is perfect. And it has not been. It's been very difficult. And so my prayer is that when people read this book, they have hope. They can see that there's therapy is worth it, self-healing and all of that is really, it's worth fighting for. Our lives are worth fighting for. Our marriages are worth fighting for. Our families worth fighting for. My industry is worth fighting for. I almost wrote it, I called it the faithful fight because I think everything is worth a fight. Now it's a subtitle, but I think it's not just fighting. It's like, man, we should have joy in this life. God wants us to live our it's like Joel Osteen, live your best life now. It really is though. We're going to be here on earth. Why have a 2-star and a 3-star life? Why have a life that's just like, but you've got to fight for that. You've got to wake up every morning and understand that God's got a destiny for all of us. And we've got a purpose here on earth. And that is also to have great, to be happy.
You will be inspired by this book, 5-Star Life. Britney, it is really a testament to not only your faith, but your hard work that you were able to not only bring the brand and bring the restaurant out of this, continuing out of this, but also to be able to tell your story and to inspire others. Britney, thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you.